Welcome to the Mind Body Podcast. I'm your host, Maria Angelova, and I'm here to challenge everything you have been told about aging and wellness. This podcast is for those who refuse to accept that growing old means growing unhealthy. Each week, I will bring you dynamic conversations with inspirational guests, sharing practical advice, insights, and motivation to live your life rebelliously as you age with grace and vitality. This is your time to embrace self-care, transformation, and an infectious spirit that says no to the conventional and yes to a vibrant, powerful life. Let's dive in and redefine what it means to live well. Hi, Rebels, and welcome to the Mind Body Podcast, your rebellious podcast with me, your host, Maria, where it is all about a strong body, calm mind, healing, and fully living. And today, your special treat is Veronica McGee, who is a nutritionist counselor who is here to tell us all about how we can eat the right food so we can age with poise, energy, and feeling great. Welcome, Veronica. So great to have you here today.
Thank you, Maria. It's really good to be here.
Yes, I'm excited you're here. And I am excited to dive into the topic of nutrition. I will tell you, I was just talking to a friend the other day, and we were covering the different pillars of wellness. And she was like, where do you think you have an opportunity to do better? And if I have to be honest, I do have to say for me, that is nutrition, because I enjoy sugar. I'm like, there's nothing like some good French fries. And I'm very intentional with how I eat. I personally believe into the 80-20 rule. So most of the time I eat really healthy, but I do enjoy my treats, the things that, are probably not as healthy for me. So I am always inspired by people like you who post like these super amazing healthy foods. And I'm like, oh, I wish I could prepare simple stuff like that. That looks so delicious. So without further ado, let's dive into, first of all, who is Veronica? Tell us 3 words that describe you and give us a little bit of a backstory behind each word, Veronica.
Yes, thank you. You said so many things that make me want to develop more, but I will answer your question first. So yes, I am now in my second life. I am a nutrition counselor, an integrative nutrition counselor. And what that is seeing the body as a whole. So recently we have been celebrating specialized medicine. We have a specialist for the GI tract, and we have a specialist for kidneys, and we have a specialist, but the body doesn't work like this. The body works as a whole. So the field of integrative nutrition was attractive to me. And so yes, I was saying in my second life, my first life, I have an MBA. I'm a marketing person, but then food and nutrition have always been my passion. And I'm really excited to be able to combine both of them and share these gifts with the world. And yes, like everything I do is very simple, although it's beautiful food. I think it looks beautiful, but it is very, very simple because just like everybody, I have a busy life. I am a mom and a wife, and but we have to feed ourselves. So then I choose to make really beautiful foods and great choices. So yes, that's who I am. And I have some opinions when it comes to having an occasional treat. Now, the popular idea is to say it's okay to have an occasional treat. It's okay to have a cheat day. The not so popular idea is that it's irreversible damage. There is just no way to work out your way out of a bad meal, out of a treat. But now the good idea is that most of the things that are considered treats, say a Snickers bar, right? It can be made healthy. I mean, there's like tons of raw Snicker bar recipes, like 4 or 5 ingredients. So with a little bit of effort and a little bit of intention, it can be done. So I'm not saying no, I'm just saying yes, but make a better choice.
Yes, and you know what? I definitely think that's something that, and this is what I work with clients even on movement, right? Is I think we really have to figure out what works for us. Because like I would say, and that's a mindset thing, right? And that probably has to do also with the fact that I don't love cooking. is that for me, if you tell me you can never ever have ice cream, now can I make some healthier ice cream? Yes, right? Like, can I make a Snicker bars? Yes. And I'll tell you, like, my mom makes delicious protein bowls that I use instead of a Snickers bar, for example, right? So there are ways, but like I'm like, no, I won't buy ice cream, And I do read ingredients, and there's, I'm looking for ice creams that exclude certain ingredients. But then I'll also tell you I have my favorites, and I'm just, it's a choice that I'm making. Just like, for example, if you go into the topic of environmental toxins, is it possible to eliminate every environmental toxin that's out there? Unfortunately, nowadays with where we are, no. So what are the things that you want to make a priority that you can make work for you so that you're adhering to that? So, I definitely appreciate what you're saying. Intention is huge, and I think nutrition goes a long way with that. Give us right away some like easy tips and tricks. And, perhaps many of them are like me, who are like, I don't love being in the kitchen. I don't love cooking. Give us some simple tips and tricks for foods that we can prepare, consume, that will give us energy, right? That would help us feel good, that would help us deal with the metabolic changes that are happening in our life as we age.
Yes, there are things you can do. And then preparation is key, as you can imagine, as it is with everything.
Yep.
Right? You have to make sure you have everything in handy. There are a few things to keep in mind as we're all aging, right? Mm-hmm. And most of them, I think one of the ones that I found the most important is being mindful of dairy, because dairy is highly inflammatory. And as we get older, a lot of us have joint pains and arthritis. So dairy is one of the highly inflammatory foods, and there's corn and there's soy. But then, hey, we've had dairy all our lives. If that's something that we can minimize or have a little less of, that would be great. Just to work with something that work against something that could potentially happen because of age. The other thing is, and a lot of people are started taking fiber in the form of Metamucil, right? Because that's just something people associate with getting older. And depends, like, just eat the fiber, just have tons of fruits and vegetables. Now, granted, if we're talking to people that do not have blood sugar problems, right, then there's less fruits and more vegetables, or foods with a lower glycemic index. But just a plethora of fruits and vegetables, and just be excited. Try a new fruit and a new vegetable every week. Just go to the store. It's like, there's a dragon fruit. I've never had it. It looks beautiful on the inside. It's like, the beautiful thing about fruit is you don't have to do anything to it. You just peel it, wash it, peel it, and eat it. So just so be excited about food. Try food. So just go and try different kind of greens that you've never had. And some may be bitter, some may be a little spicy. Just food
experiment.
Yeah, so food can be happy and exciting. And also, as we're aging, we have to, and you know this as well, we have to focus more on the muscle mass. So we have to make sure that we keep the protein level pretty high. Now, the other day I was at the grocery store, and there was a lady next to me, and she was picking out already prepared foods. And she was saying, I would like a protein and then a few sides. And then the guy offered her a few choices of meat, and that's great. But we also have to keep in mind that there's multiple sources of protein. There's animal protein, but there's so many sources of vegetable protein that we are not aware of. For whatever reason, we associate protein with meat and animal protein, but there's so many. I mean, there's spinach is high in protein, and broccoli and nuts and seeds and chia seeds. I mean, there's just so much out there. But if you're talking about these busy people, the people that have intense work schedules, and I know some people feel so and so about smoothies, because smoothies have gotten a bad rap because they're sugary, right? There's just a lot of fruit, and people put protein powder. And I have my own beliefs when it comes to protein powder. I'm not really sure what the body thinks of protein powder, because it doesn't really recognize it as food. I mean, it's food, but it's like, what is this really? And then people have to be aware of the other ingredients in protein powder. But smoothies are the easiest things to make. And I'm thinking about smoothies that have cranberries and then berries, not smoothies with mango and bananas and maple syrup, right? Mm-hmm. So a smoothie that has cranberries and spinach or kale, and then chia seeds and pumpkin seeds and flax seeds and almond milk. And, yes, and maybe a quarter of a avocado. I mean, that's like a complete meal, and that would keep you satisfied till like lunch. You won't have a blood sugar drop. You can have all these ingredients that are shelf stable, and some of the fruit can be frozen, and you have it in handy. And if there's really no time in the morning, you can drink it on the way to the office. So these are some of the things you can do without, I believe, that much effort. But you know how that is. It's because I've been doing it for so long.
It's a habit. Yes.
Yeah, it's a habit, and there's intention that is needed.
Yes.
But definitely consider, like if we were to do an interview, we were to be walking around and asking people, hey, what do you think a breakfast food is? Some people may say coffee and a donut, or coffee and a pastry, or cereal. And I don't know if people stop and ever think of who decides what a breakfast food is. Like, how did this get ingrained in our heads? And I believe it has to do with the media. And we're watching a movie, and we watch this guy or this girl wearing a suit stopping to get breakfast, when that was never meant to be breakfast. Like a sugary pastry with coffee, it is the worst probably breakfast that somebody can have, just because it gives us a boost of energy, and then there's a drop, it's a crash, right? And we're in a meeting, and we, it's like we don't have any mental energy, any physical energy. We feel terrible. So be mindful. Being mindful is a big thing, and just stopping. It's like, who decides what breakfast is? Who decides what dinner is? Is it the TV? Is it the coffee shop industry or the coffee industry? So,
I think one thing that is very important that you're kind of bringing up is that I also preach the same thing with movement, is what is it that you enjoy, right? Because some people will enjoy Pilates, some people will enjoy yoga, some will enjoy dancing, some will enjoy golfing and so forth, right? So if I tell you you have to do Pilates and you're like, well, I enjoy cycling, well, chances are you're not going to do your workout because you don't enjoy it. But if you enjoy what you're doing and you look forward to it, then the chances of you adhering to that would be higher. And the same thing, I think, applies to food as an exercise. If you have tended to eat cereal for breakfast, like sandwich for lunch, right? Not as optimally healthy, no judgment. It's a good idea to start with small changes. Like, what is one thing that you can change in your diet that's more intentional, that's going to bring you more nutrition for the calories that you are absorbing, and that you enjoy? I think that's a big part of it, because you might love broccoli, and I'll tell you, one thing, I'm a very non-picky eater. One thing I do not eat is mushrooms. I cannot take their texture. So if right now you tell me you need to eat mushrooms, I'll be like, there's no way I'm going to eat what you suggest to eat, because I don't enjoy mushrooms. Now, smoothies, I love smoothies. So that for me is an easy one.
You don't like mushrooms? Just don't eat mushrooms.
Don't eat mushrooms.
Are a great source of protein, but it's probably a texture thing. So
it's a texture thing. Yes, that's exactly right. So I think the big point of what I'm getting is, yes, you have to find what you like, and you also have to get a little bit more intentional with the type of foods that you choose, and also realize that the choice of breakfast, a donut or a smoothie, is a choice. And I'll tell you, for somebody, again, who does not love cooking, and I think a lot of people can relate to me, is I buy the frozen fruit from Costco, and I have like my set, I put chia seeds, I put I love to put hazelnut butter in it. Like, I have my go-tos, and they are very available. So they're a quick grab and dump, instead of sit there and think, what am I going to put now? And it's also, to your point, it has become such a habit that I can make a smoothie in like 5 minutes, right? To your point, once you make it practice, it's a lot easier.
That's right. And you have to make it easy. Now, the other thing is to consider is that may work for a while, and it may not work for the rest of your life.
Yes.
For instance, I had the same breakfast of oats with nuts and seeds for like 10, 15 years of my life. But then, I turned 40 and, my body's changing and I just need more protein in the morning. That's how I function. So it's good to watch the body. It's like, hey, am I feeling tired after a meal? Because if you're feeling tired after a meal, that's your cue that you did not eat well. Like if you need to take a nap after a meal, the meal should be giving you energy. Like if you need to take a nap to process that meal, or if 30 minutes go by and your energy drops, then it's like, hey, reconsider. And just because this is working for me and for a lot of people, and this is one of the concepts of my practice is bio-individualism. And that's why I know I'm a nutrition counselor, but I do not write eating plans because what works for one person doesn't work for the other. Right. We're changing so much. But I do want to say, when it comes to the taste buds, like for the people who have been eating a lot of processed foods, their taste buds are kind of numb. So for them, they would not taste the apple the same way you and I would taste the apple. It's just because there are scientists somewhere in the lab whose sole job is to create these engineered
addictive tests.
Yes, that make you want to have more and more and more. And that's their job. And I respect it. And we vote with our wallet and we purchase these items. And then all of a sudden, it's like like I said, we don't eat an apple and it just doesn't do it for us. And that requires some sort of detox, if you want it, and a lot of willpower to just kind of jump off that and be excited about food again and taste food again, because unfortunately taste buds are not
conditioned. Hey Rebels, I want to take a quick moment to share something super exciting with you. If you've been feeling stuck, disconnected, or just know there is more to life than what you're experiencing, I have something special for you. I have created a powerful 6-step video series called Unleash Your Potential, an introduction to the Angelova Method. As a valued mind-body podcast listener, the series is my gift to you. In this series, I will guide you through the core elements of the Angelova Method, a unique approach that integrates movement, mindset, and mastery to help you align your body, mind, and life. You will learn practical techniques to improve your alignment, boost your core strength, and connect deeply to your inner self. Whether you're looking to enhance your physical health, gain mental clarity, or simply live more fully, these videos are designed to get you started on the path to your most vibrant self. And the best part? It's completely free. So if you're ready to break through barriers and unleash your full potential, head over to mindbodyexpert.com and get started today. Let's take this journey together, because you, my rebel, deserve nothing less than the extraordinary. The one thing that I have personally found that works for me is if I tell myself, let's say, I'm never going to eat chocolate, the only thing I can think of is chocolate, right? So willpower does not cut it for me. So the way I have shifted my thinking is, I think, what is this going to do for my body? Is this going to nurture my body and make me feel good? Or am I going to have it, and to your point, crash after that and feel like, why did I do that? For me personally, that works better than using the willpower, because it's amazing how it works. I'll say, I'll never eat that again. And the only thing I can think of is that thing that I've said I can never eat again. So, but when I shift to like, what do I need to put in my body to nurture my body, to feel good, to stay strong, right? As I age, as things are changing, to your point, things I used to eat before, it's not cutting it for me, right? Veronica, another question I wanted to go back to, you spoke about milk. And I know nowadays there's so much advice of eat this, don't eat this. Like, let's take soy, right? Soy, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago was like the top thing to eat. And now it's like, don't eat it. Eat milk, don't eat milk. Eat this, don't eat this, right? There's so many theories. And I actually am a fan of what you talked about. You have to be aware of what works for you, because what works for me, what works for you, what works for somebody else might be completely different. Let's go for a second to dairy. Yes. What do you do? Do you sub for nut milks with nut milk?
Yes, so I use nut milks, and I'm going to take this opportunity to help people to be aware of oat milk. It's just not that great of a choice because of the impact on blood sugar. So it's pretty much just drinking like water in a form of sugar. So the benefit in fiber and protein is almost not there. So I would steer away from oat meals. I prefer almond milk. Now, super, super careful. And then I'm going to touch on your ice cream there, is the emulsifiers. One of the ingredients that are in this milk. Emulsifiers are what's keeping a compound mixed in, right? So it doesn't separate. Think of like if you refrigerate or if you freeze milk, it separates, right? So in any of these plant milks, be super, super mindful on the ingredients. They should have only like nuts, water, and salt. Anything else, do not buy it. May as well drink the real milk or just water or tea. But super, super aware of the ingredients. Now, the best thing is just to make it. It's not very hard. But like you said, we're talking to people that don't have that much time. And if you really don't have the time, take a few tablespoons of hemp seeds, water, blend them, and there you go. It's milk. You don't have to strain it or anything. It's just milk, full of protein, good fat. So it's the easiest thing. But now some, like my favorite, and I can say it because it's like a good product. My favorite is Malk, AMLK. Super basic ingredients. They now make a shelf stable product, so you can fill up your pantry with it and just use it in any dish.
But what is it? What is it, Veronica?
Malk, MALK.
Yeah, but what is it?
It's just either almond or cashew. So just almond, salt, and water, and that's all there is.
Okay. So what is your how about what's your thought on yogurt?
Now the commercial yogurts are, in spite of what marketing tells us, don't have as many good bacteria, because yogurt that you make at home or yogurt, the way yogurt has been made traditionally, it would have been cured or it would have been let out for like 24 hours or 48 hours. I believe the commercial yogurt is only 4 hours, so a short period. So there's barely any beneficial bacteria over there. And the other thing is, they have sugar. They add all these other ingredients. So again, super mindful of the ingredients, but do find the right yogurt because it does exist. And you can, like, we're so fortunate these days, we can order.
Yeah, there is so much.
Yes.
I will tell you, I personally read ingredients and I eat yogurt and I have my specific yogurt that I get, right? And that's the one I get. But again, it goes back to ingredients and general awareness. I had a friend, she was like, do you know all the chemicals? I was like, absolutely not. There are thousands and thousands of them, but I know a few that I watch out for, that I make sure, if you see sugar, corn syrup, any of that stuff, that's something that you don't want to get. And let's talk about yogurt. So usually when we talk milk, we think calcium. So again, what would you say? Because obviously as we age, especially as like as perimenopausal, menopausal women, one of the big things that we have to be protective is bone health. So what do you personally use for calcium? And some vegetables have it, but the content is not that high. So what do you do for bone health if you're not consuming milk and yogurt?
So when we think of calcium is a mineral that's in the ground, right? So the plant absorbs it and then the animal eats the plant and then we eat the byproduct, the milk, right? So if we were to go to the source, right, we would want to eat all these vegetables. But from the things that are not from the dairy, sesame seeds, I believe, have the highest calcium content. And you can add those in your smoothie or think tahini or hummus. So there's that. And then I believe kale has calcium too. But again, I don't focus so much on micronutrients, or I just eat a lot of good stuff and super varied. And then I trust that then having a variety of foods and seeds and vegetables and nuts and beans and all that, then that's going to supply everything I need, because nature has this ability to provide. Yes.
Yeah. And it's interesting because you follow a plant-based diet, right?
I have been on a plant-based diet for 17 years now.
Yes, wow, that's impressive. So what do you say about there's a lot of talk about people being nutrient deficient and people not getting enough sufficient protein from consuming animal protein.
Protein, yes. I mean, that's the biggest question that we always get, right?
Yeah.
So yes, it's a valid question because of the way we are conditioned. Like we think it has to be a protein on the table, but like I was saying, there's so many sources of plant protein. Now, there's multiple ways of consuming a vegan diet. I prefer to call it plant-based. I mean, you can be a very, very, very unhealthy vegan eating just pasta and pizza and rice, or you can be super intentional and making sure you get all the macronutrients, all the micronutrients, again, in just this plethora of fruits and vegetables.
Right.
And you cannot be, I don't want to say a lazy vegan, because then you end up ordering out and having frozen fruits, frozen meals and
Meals.
Yes, and those are nutrient depleted. I do have to tell you, when I first started, so I haven't had meat since '95, but when I first went on a vegan diet, there wasn't that much out there. There weren't that many products. So in a way, it was better because we had to make everything at home. So right now it's a little tempting because there's vegan cupcakes and vegan this and vegan that, but then you look at the ingredients, they're like, oh, may as well just.
But you know what? You make a great point, because I think people think, okay, if I go to vegan and just because it says vegan, it's assumed to be healthy. And I think that's actually a very great point, because you have a lot of meat alternatives nowadays that are nothing but garbage literally out there, right? And you think you're doing something healthy because you're not consuming animal protein. But if you look at the ingredient list, there is like nothing real in it. And I think that's a very important point to make, that you have to be intentional with, if it's a prepared product, read the ingredient list. I would say I'm not going to name the stores so that I'm not, putting stores out there, but they have a lot of prepackaged food, right? Pre-prepared food. And I'll tell you, probably 85% of what I take and look at the ingredient list, I put back in the freezer, because it's, the marketing on the front sounds really great, right? Oh, healthy, no this, no that. And then you turn around and look at the ingredient and it's like, okay, there is really no vegetable. The vegetable is somewhere down there on the bottom. So,
and you make a good point, because if when you look at an ingredient list, the first ingredient is the one that's the most abundant, yes, right, in a dish. And something else to be careful about, and I am a marketing person and I get it.
But I mean, it works. That's what we know, it works.
So sometimes you look at the package and it will say it contains this, this, and this, and you would wrongly assume that's all it contains, because 5 ingredients are listed. But then, like you said, you turn it around and there's like 15 or 20 more. So always pay attention. But when in doubt, go back to the basics. Go back to one ingredient meals. Go back to an avocado and a potato and some kale, because then you cannot really go wrong. Always keep in mind that the fruits and vegetables that don't have a thick skin should be purchased organic, and if they're not organic, they should be soaked in water and vinegar, if that's not an option buying them. But yes, so when in doubt, go back to the basics. Just salads and, like I said, fruits and vegetables, and you can't really go wrong with nature. Yeah.
I'll wrap up with one more question, because that's another one that's a lot out there. So sometimes they say vegetables and some people say raw vegetables, and sometimes they say cooked vegetables, right? So what is your take on that?
It depends from person to person, and this is again something that has to do with bio-individuality. I have there was a time when it was really popular to be raw vegan, so I have tried that as well. Mostly in the summer, it's really fun to watermelon and melons. And now there is the argument that everything that's cooked below 115 Fahrenheit has a lot more nutrients. I respect that, and I think it's great. It is very time consuming. Everything has to be dehydrated for like 24 hours, and prior to that it has to be soaked for whatever. So it's nice to combine that and have a nice balance, but from my experience, it's just a lot of pressure that you put on yourself. But like I said, if you have a giant salad, preferably after a meal, then Then you combine the cooked with the raw. So it's great no matter what. Yeah.
Did you say have a salad after the meal? Is that
No,
what you
before the meal. Before
I thought you said, I was like, whoa.
Yes,
I was like, that's something new I haven't heard now.
Yes, so start the two main meals with a salad, also for blood sugar management. Yes.
Okay, yes. I thought that was something new. I was like, whoa, I'm missing some new research that has
But it is possible because sometimes we're so adamant about something and everybody's preaching. It's like 5 years down the road, we realize that it wasn't that great. So,
well, you know what? I ultimately do agree with what you're saying. What works for one person may not work for another. So your best bet is be intentional. Try to choose, if not all the time, at least most of the time, healthy stuff, and then go from there. So what I was saying is that my diet now is very different than the way I ate in my 20s. Significantly different. And it has been a change over time, not an overnight change. Yeah.
That is fantastic. And I think the body is a little more forgiving in our youth.
The 20s, 100%. Yes. The things you can get away in your 20s, not so much in your upper 40s.
Right. Nonetheless, we should not take that as an excuse, or young people should not take that as an excuse to eat whatever. But yes, it's like, and it has to do with maybe being a little more disciplined and the priorities being different. But a lot of the principles that you talked about and you talk about in your podcast, that apply to exercise, they apply to nutrition, and they apply even to the financial